If you'd like to jump ahead to a certain part of the tutorial, click on one of these video links to be taken right to it.
Hey, it's Jameson, Rubiksguy. Since you clicked on this video, you're probably interested in learning how to solve the standard 3x3 Rubik's Cube. Either that, or you watched a cat video a few hours ago and the YouTube Vortex brought you here. But either way, let's teach you how to solve it. First thing we'll need is a real cube. I've got some here. But before we get started, there's a few things I'd like to mention. First off, this puzzle isn't as hard as it seems. I am under the strong belief that almost anyone can learn how to do it, and it should only take a few hours max to get your first solve, if even that. Secondly, if your cube isn't already solved, and if it has ever been taken apart or the stickers moved around, it's okay, we've all done it. I recommend either getting a new cube or finish solving it using those cheats, since you can't get your first real solve otherwise. The cube just won't solve if the stickers have been moved around improperly. Next, I'd like to show you the inside of one of these cubes so you can get a further understanding of how it works, which I believe will help you solve it. So, let's open up one of these bad boys. A Rubik's Cube consists of 3 different types of pieces. Edge pieces, with 2 colors each, corner pieces, with 3, and centers, with only 1, and the centers are all attached to the spider core. So what we can see from looking at the spider core is that the centers will never move. They're locked in position relative to one another. So green will always be here relative to yellow and red. A common misconception is that you're moving stickers on the cube instead of actual pieces. So I'll have somebody say, how do I get this sticker here? And I say, well, you can't, because that's a corner sticker and this is an edge sticker. You're not moving stickers, you're moving actual pieces. So this is the only piece that has white and orange on it. So this has to go between the white and orange centers. And that's its solved position. The next thing that you need to understand is called cube notation. Cubers need to be able to talk to each other and properly convey their ideas. So we've developed notation, or basically what each side means in simple letter format. So if you see the letter U, that means that you're going to be turning the up face. R is the right face, F is the front face, L is the left face, and then the 2 confusing ones are B for back and D for down. If you see an apostrophe after any one of the letters, so like U prime, that means you're turning the face counterclockwise. A simple U would be clockwise. If you see the number 2 after the U, it's just moving it twice. That works for any of the sides. So for example, U2, R2 would be that. LU would be like this. When you get into situations where you have to turn the back face or the down face, the easiest way to do it is to remember how you started holding the cube. So in this case, green on front. Turn the cube around, turn that face the correct direction, and then turn back. The reason you're doing that, whether it's physically or just in your mind, is because a front clockwise and a back clockwise are obviously not the same direction. Now on to the actual tutorial. If your cube is solved, go ahead and scramble it. Your cube probably will not move as fluid as this one because this is a Speedcube. If you have a normal Rubik's brand, I'd recommend upgrading. I'll put some links in the description for good cubes if you decide this is a hobby you want to pursue. The very first thing we're going to do, remembering that none of these centers will ever move, is locate the yellow center. During this entire solve, we're going to keep the yellow center on top. So before you execute any turns, make sure yellow is still on top, the centerpiece. The first goal we have is to make what's called a flower pattern on the yellow side of the cube. When it's done, it will look like this. The yellow center and 4 white edges. This white corner is also up. However, that does not matter at all. These corners can be in any position. Right now, we're just concerned with the edges. So to get here, from your scrambled cube, you're going to locate any white edge you can find. I have one down here, one already in its position, and one here. Now, using basic intuition, you should be able to place a few of these by yourself. but let me give you some hints. This edge in one turn can rotate up next to the yellow center. But in this case, we already have this one there. So if I slide the top over and then bring that edge up, now we have two and we didn't disrupt that one. Here's an easy one. It's facing the bottom. And since the top and the bottom are opposites, if a piece is on the bottom layer, you can rotate it up, just moving that face twice. Now we have three. Our last white edge is here. This is always a little bit difficult to explain to people at first, but once you understand how the cube moves, it'll be a lot easier to grasp. There is no one move that we can do to put this up here. However, what we can do is put this piece here and then move it up. So if we rotate this front plane, front face, clockwise, the piece is now here. And then we can rotate it up like we did the other examples. This is no longer white now, but because this piece is right here, all we have to do is rotate it back into place. I'm going to do another example. Yellow center, but 0 white edges this time. I have a white edge right here, one move to rotate it onto the right layer, and then another move to put it into place. Now let's find another easy white edge. Here's one on the bottom. All I have to do, since it's down here, is rotate it up. Move that side twice in either direction. Here's another white edge. It just requires one turn of that face to put into position. And the final white edge needs to go here, and it is here. This is the exact case as the last one, so I'm going to make it a little bit different. If we have it here, you can rotate the front face twice to put it into position, but it's facing the wrong direction then. So let's only rotate it once to put it onto the left or the right face, so then we can turn it once to get it into place. However, just like in the original example, this piece is already in position. So we have to move it out, put an empty slot there. So just keep turning the top around until there's an empty slot. And then solve it like that. At this point, I'd recommend practicing the flower pattern, and then we can move on once you feel that you understand it pretty well. Now that we have the flower pattern solved, we are going to have to rotate all 4 of these white edges down to the bottom to form the cross. It's pretty simple, so let's get to it. Locate your first white edge piece on the top layer, making sure yellow is on top, and note what the other color is on that piece. For me, it's green. It might be red, orange, or blue for you. Then we're going to rotate the bottom 2 layers of the cube around until this edge color matches this center sticker. Now, because we have a match, we can rotate the front layer twice, bringing this piece all the way down so it matches up with this edge. Now looking back at the top layer, we're going to turn the cube to the side so that another white edge is in front of us, and match this piece by turning the bottom 2 layers around. For me, I already have a match, so I can turn the front twice once again. I note to turn the front twice because that will drop this piece down. Once again, turn the cube to locate a white edge piece. Find the other color, red, rotate bottom 2 layers, get a match, front twice. It's very important to notice that this is a white edge piece that you're dealing with, because you can easily get in the habit of just looking at these colors, and then you might accidentally put a red edge down, and that's not what we want. So we're going to locate the next white edge piece, hold it in the front, bottom 2 layers, turn them until we get a match with this front sticker and this center sticker, and move the front layer twice. I've done that 4 times, so now I have the cross. Now the reason that we solved the cross that way is because we need all of these to match up, as they are the foundation for the rest of the puzzle to be solved. Now we've done the cross. Let's move on to the corners of the first layer. Once we're done with this step, the entire first layer will be solved, and it will look like this. We have the white side, but the important thing is that all of these colors connected to the white side are also correct. A lot of people say they can solve a side, and that's awesome, but in order to be able to solve the entire cube, you have to build a layer. I don't think that there's even a method out there to solve the cube one side at a time without forming layers. So for this step, just like how we are locating white edges on the top layer, we're going to locate white corners. It doesn't matter which direction the white is facing, it just has to be in the top layer. So I have one here, 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 and not there. Choose any one of these and turn the top layer so it is in the top right of your cube. So if I chose the one back here, I would rotate the top layer and hold it in the top right. Now take note of what the other 2 colors are on that white corner. I have red and green. Turn the bottom 2 layers around until the red and green centers are on either side of the corner. The other two colors on the corner will not all be touching the correct centers, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. The piece just has to be between the two centers. And because it has white on it, we know it belongs down here. Now that it's in place, you're going to do your first algorithm, and this is very simple. Move the right face clockwise, move the up face clockwise, move the right face counterclockwise, and move the up face counterclockwise. Now check. The corner will be in place, but is it solved? If it is, move on to the next corner. If it's not, as I have here, repeat that algorithm twice more and check again. Right, up, right counterclockwise, up counterclockwise, once more, right, up, right counterclockwise, up counterclockwise. Every 2 times that you do it, it pops the piece out and puts it back in and rotates this 1 turn. Once again, it's not solved, so I'm going to do it 2 more times and it will be. Right clockwise, up clockwise, right counterclockwise, up counterclockwise, R, U, R prime, U prime. Prime just means counterclockwise. Now it is in the correct spot and we can move on to the next edge. Rotate the cube so that you have an empty spot where a white corner needs to be on the bottom right of the puzzle. Turn the top layer around until you find the correct corner. The red matches the red, the blue matches the blue. So I know that it belongs right there. Do the same algorithm once to put it in. So R, U, R prime, U prime. Check if it's solved. If it's not, do it twice more. R, U, R prime, U prime. R, U, R prime, U prime. Keep going until it's solved. The very most that you will have to repeat the algorithm is 5 times, because once you've done it 6, you will be back at the same point that you started. And now the first layer is solved. Once again, at this point, I would recommend practicing. There are some cases that might give you a little bit of trouble, though, in solving the first layer. Notice how I have the entire white side solved, but my layer isn't? To fix this, put one of the corners that needs to come out in the bottom right of your cube, obviously keeping yellow on top, and do that algorithm from before once. R, U, R prime, U prime. It will pop the corner out, and you can continue as normal. Put it above where it belongs, do the algorithm over and over again to put it in place. If a similar situation occurs, you can use that same trick to pop any corner out that doesn't belong where it is. So if you have a corner in place, but it's twisted wrong, do the algorithm once, pops it out, and then continue as normal until it's solved. And then move on and complete as normal. Sweet, your first layer is done. So let's move on to the middle layer. This is the easiest layer to do since it only has 4 pieces. And you pretty much use the same algorithm for each one. Start by making sure your first layer still matches up with the second layer centers. Next, find an edge piece in the top layer that does not have yellow on it. Because if it has yellow, that means it belongs in the top layer, and we're looking for one that needs to sit in the middle layer. I see this piece. It has red and green on it, and it's the edge. Obviously these are corners, so we're not looking at those. Now hold the cube so your chosen edge is facing you. Next, rotate the bottom 2 layers of the cube together, just as we did in the previous step, until you have another match in the front, with the center and that color facing you on the edge piece. Next, we need to solve this edge. Unfortunately, we can't just turn it into place because it would mess up what we already have. But of course, there's a way around that. Once you have the edge matching the front center, determine which direction that edge needs to go. Would you turn the front layer clockwise to match it up here? In my case, no. Or would you turn it counterclockwise to match it up here? That works for me. So make that turn, as I just did, and remember which direction you did. For me, it's counterclockwise. It might be clockwise for you. Then turn the up face in the same direction that you turn the front face. So I'm going to turn mine counterclockwise. You might turn yours clockwise. Continue back and forth until we've done a total of 5 turns. So front counterclockwise, up counterclockwise, front counterclockwise. Now that we've made 5 turns, we're going to switch directions, starting with the up face. So essentially, we're continuing the front up pattern. We're just switching which direction we turn them. I'm going to turn the up face clockwise, now the front face clockwise. Now the up face, now the front face, and finally the up face. 5 turns one direction, 5 turns the other, and that will solve your edge. Continue this until all 4 of your edges are solved. There is a special situation or two that might throw you off. They may look different, but you fix them the same way. You may either have an edge piece in its correct spot in the middle layer, but it's flipped backwards, or that there are no edges to work with. However, your middle layer is not solved. This and this situation are pretty much the same. Don't worry, this is no problem. Pretend like any of the edges in the top layer belong in the spot of that edge that we want out. It could be this one, it doesn't matter. We just need any edge to replace this one. And now solve it just as normal. It needs to go to the right to put it in, do a clockwise turn. If it needs to go left, do counterclockwise. So this one needs to go clockwise. Front clockwise, up clockwise, front up, front. Now we're going to reverse the turn, starting with the up face. Up counter, front counter, up counter, front counter, up counter. Now we've popped that piece out into the top layer and we can go on as we were before. In this situation, it's the exact same thing. This piece needs to come out because it's not in the right spot, and so does this one. Choose any of these edges in the top layer. I'm going to choose this one because it's already there, and replace one of these edges with it, just like with this one. I'm going to finish this up real quick so we can continue on to the last step. Time to move on to the last layer. So we're on to the last layer, the final third before we can claim victory. The interesting thing about this layer is that it's entirely algorithm-based, and not very intuitive compared to the rest, considering that we only have one layer we can move without messing anything else up. The last layer is divided into 4 parts. The first step, we are going to make a cross. So let's get to that. And because it's a cross, we are only looking at the 4 edges. The corners don't matter right now. There are 4 different shapes that you can have with the edges on the last layer, but they all behave pretty much the same. A dot, an L shape, a bar shape, or a full cross. Now obviously if you have the cross, you can consider yourself lucky and skip on to the next step. But for the rest of us, let's teach you the L case first. Once again, only pay attention to the edges. So if you have this, it's the same case. Hold the cube so the L is here, on the left and the back. And perform this algorithm to get to the cross. Front clockwise, up clockwise, right clockwise, up counterclockwise, right counterclockwise, front counterclockwise. And that will solve your cross. If you have a bar, hold it so it's horizontal. Now we're going to perform a very similar algorithm to the L case. However, we are going to replace any front face turns with what I like to call a fat front face turn. So you're turning the front and the middle layer with that. Fat front clockwise, just the one up layer clockwise, right clockwise, up counterclockwise, right counterclockwise, and then the fat front counterclockwise. So you're turning the front and the middle layer with that. An easy way to remember which is which between the bar and the L case, the bar occupies the middle row. So just remember to turn the middle row when you're solving the bar. That's all you have to do. If you have the dot case, none of the edges are flipped up, so none of them are solved. But it's very easy to turn this into the cross. Choose whichever one of those was your favorite, and do that algorithm. So I'll do the L algorithm.
Front, up, right, up prime, right prime, up prime.
And that turns it into the bar. Hold the bar horizontal and continue with the bar algorithm. And there's your cross. When all 4 edges are facing the right way, they are known as oriented. And now we are going to move on to permuting them, which just means making sure they're in the right spot on the cube. So turn the top layer as needed to match up 2 edges with their correct faces on the sides. You'll always be able to line up either 2 or all 4 edges. Of course, if all 4 edges are already lined up with their centers as here, you're a lucky duck, the step is complete, and you can move on to the next step. But if you are a mere mortal like the rest of us, however, you'll have to continue with this step. So on this cube, I'm going to turn the top layer to match up as many edges as I can. I have 1 matched here, but I know I can do 2 or 4. Now I have 2 matched up. If the 2 pieces that are solved with respect to their centers are next to each other, hold them in the back and the right. In this case, the 2 pieces that are solved are opposite each other, the orange and the red. We'll solve this case right after that one. With the solved edges in the back and the right, perform this algorithm. R, U, R prime, U, R, U, 2, R prime. Now, with a simple U turn, all of your edges will be correct. If the solved edges are opposite of each other, hold it in any which way you want as long as yellow is on top, and do that same algorithm. RU, R prime U, RU2, R prime. Now, line up as many edges as you can. Here's 2. Hold them in the back and the right, and perform the same algorithm as we did with the last case. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. Finish up with the U, and now they are solved. Those are the only cases you can encounter to solve the cross. And by the way, this algorithm that we were using is called a SUNE, S-U-N-E. Now that we finished with the edges, the next step is the corners. All that we care about right now is making sure that the corners are in their correct spots, but they don't need to be twisted correctly just yet. So for example, this piece is correct. It's in the right spot, but it's okay that it's not twisted right. Look around the top layer and find at least one corner that is in the right spot. Hold it in the top right of the cube. If you happen to have 2 corners that are in the right spots, hold them on the right side of the cube in the front and the back, and perform this following algorithm, which will then set you up into a case where you only have 1 corner correct and you can continue as normal. Now I love this step because I believe I came up with a great way to remember the algorithm. Let's use our power of imagination again. Holding the corner that we want to preserve in the upper right corner, pretend that this corner is an unsuspecting person. Let's call him Mike. Yeah, Mike. Now, Mike just so happens to be standing on top of an active geyser, of course, with more around him. The ground under him starts to rumble. So Mike jumps to the left to avoid the blast, which shoots up right after he moves from his spot. But Mike can't relax just yet. Due to his amazing luck, he stepped on another active geyser, so he moves to the right this time, and the left one shoots up. And now Mike remembers something that he learned in grade school. What goes up must come down. As he looks up, he realizes that the geyser is about to fall back on top of him. So he jumps back to the left, and the geyser falls down. And now the one on the left is going to fall on him, so he moves back to the right, and that geyser falls down. Now, Mike takes a sigh of relief, having just avoided imminent death. Twice. And your corners are solved. That's what we were talking about, right? If you had the double corner case, here and here, and you did that algorithm, you will now have only 1 corner solved. So, I will grab a case like that. Here's one. And we're going to do that same algorithm. This time in notation. U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L, which will solve your corners. Now there's only one more step to go, so let's get to it. Now that you have all 4 corners in the right spots, we're going to orient them so they are twisted correctly. All you have to do is reach in and twist the pieces, and you're done. But if you want to learn how to do it the real way, let's do that. Now, one piece of advice with this section. The cube is going to look really messed up as you solve this last bit. So just stick to it, make sure you follow the instructions, and everything should be fine. The first part of the final step, which will solve the cube, is to locate a corner that needs to be twisted and hold it in the top right layer. I have one here and I have one here. It doesn't matter which I choose, but I'm going to start with this one. So, remember that saying from grade school about rules and how they're meant to be broken? Yeah, that comes into play right now. That whole yellow on top thing? Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. So turn the entire cube so yellow is on the left, making sure that your corner that you're going to be solving is here and now here. We're going to be using a little bit of the knowledge from solving the first layer corners in here. Turn this bad piece to the right side by doing a U prime turn, U counterclockwise, which puts it here. Now pay attention to this sticker. Once these 2 colors match, we're done solving this piece, and we can move on to the next one. Earlier I mentioned how if you did the same algorithm 6 times, it would reset itself. Well, that's what we're going to do here. R, U, R prime, U prime. Is it solved? These don't match, so no. Do it again. R, U, R prime, U prime. Now you have it solved here. It's very important that you finish the algorithm with the U prime. So now that it's solved, we can move this piece back over to the left layer with a U-turn. Then turn the left layer until you have another bad piece, one that needs to be solved, in the upper left of the cube. Now here's where a lot of people make their mistake, which scrambles the entire puzzle by accident. Some people will turn the entire cube at this point. Don't do that. Just turn the left layer to get this piece into position. Then move the top layer around so it's here. and continue that original algorithm. Side note, since we did the algorithm twice to solve this piece, we now have to do this one 4 times, because 2 and 4 make 6. So now we do the algorithm. R, U, R prime, U prime. Check if it's solved, it's not. Continue. R, U, R prime, U prime. That put the corner in place, but it's still twisted. Continue. R, U, R prime, U prime. Nope, one more. R, U, R prime, U prime. Is it solved? Yes. So we move it back over to the side and finish the cube by turning that last layer. Congratulations, you solved your cube. However, there are situations where you may have to rotate more than just 2 corners. You solved them the same way as we just did that, but I'll show you anyway. So in this example, the cross is done because all the edges are placed. The corners are all placed in their correct spots as well. So just like before, turn the entire cube until the piece in the top right is one that needs to be twisted. Then rotate the cube so yellow is on the left. Next, move this piece to the right layer by turning the up face counterclockwise. So now we can work with it. Do the algorithm, RU, R prime, U prime. Check if it's solved. Continue if it's not, RU, R prime, U prime. Gonna rotate it again, RU, R prime, U prime. Once more, RU, R prime, U prime. It's solved. So put it back to the left side. Bring down the next piece by rotating this layer and not the entire cube. Move this piece that needs to be twisted over to the right with a U prime just like before, and then we just repeat. RU, R prime, U prime, RU, R prime, U prime, not solved. RU, R prime, U prime, RU, R prime, U prime. It is solved. Move it back over. Next piece down, back into the work area. RU, R prime, U prime, RU, R prime, U prime, RU, R prime, U prime, RU, R prime, U prime. So it's solved, so we can move back to the left and then finish the cube with the final turns. Thanks for watching my tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you can solve your cube now. I'd recommend you practice each step in isolation. You know what I mean, not in a dark room by yourself, unless you really want to, I guess. But isolation in the sense of, I'm going to practice just the cross right now, or I'm going to practice all the way up to the first 2 layers. And focus on any areas that are giving you trouble. If you have any questions, post them in the comments, or check around on YouTube for some other tutorials. Thanks for watching Rubiksguy. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Click the play button on my shirt to subscribe to my channel for more cubing videos.
Do it!
Come on, just do it. You probably should.
So just do it!